Hi, this is Sue Johnson with the James Method, and today I want to bring you a brief tutorial of how I approach completing a page for the Bible binder. In this example, we're going to look at the book of Hebrews, and I'll go through the different steps and points along the way in filling this out. Starting with the date the letter was written. My resource for much of this, by the way, is the ESV Study Bible, which is my go-to source when I'm doing any Bible study. And so I can determine from my study Bible that the date was written before 70 AD, probably somewhere between 64 and 68 AD. That's followed by the author, who is actually unknown in this case. People have certainly surmised over time that it could have been Paul or it could have been some other author, but really the best way to treat this is to leave it as it is, unknown at this time. That's then followed by identifying who was the audience, the original audience, because this is going to play a pivotal role in us understanding the language and the context of the book of Hebrews. And in this case, the audience appears to be a Jewish one that was experiencing some temptation to return to non-Christian Jewish practices. And again, my resources for this can include things like that ESV Study Bible. I usually will use at least 2 or 3 study Bibles. I happen to like the Fire Study Bible, the Gospel Transformation Study Bible, and if I'm looking at a verse in the Old Testament, I love to look at the Jewish Study Bible. I can also consider electronic resources such as Bible Hub. The next step is to identify the purpose. What was the purpose of this letter to the original audience? And it really revolves around a series that weaves together of exhortations and warnings and promises. In fact, as you read through Hebrews, if you read through the entire letter in one sitting, you will see this beautiful tapestry emerge: exhortation, warning, promise. And it's focused on this audience's need to continue enduring, remaining steadfast in their position as Jesus Christ being Messiah. Number 4 identifies themes. Sometimes there's a predominant theme. Other times there can be multiple themes. Again, using the ESV Study Bible here, we can't go wrong if we identify that the supremacy and sufficiency of Jesus Christ as the revealer and mediator of God's grace is a predominant theme in this book. It also emphasizes that Jesus is fully God and fully man. He's superior to the angels. He's that better, as it says in the book of Hebrews, better than the angels, the better Moses, the better covenant, the better sacrifice, etc. It also has as an important theme the role that faith plays as necessary to please God and participate in his eternal promises of salvation. Perseverance is another key theme that we can identify as we go through this. That brings us to the next page, which deals with cultural and historical background information. Now for this, I like to use 2 different resources. First, I have a cultural background study Bible that is excellent. I also just recently obtained an archaeological study Bible, so I'm very excited to begin applying pieces of that study Bible to this section. I also love the book Unlocking the Bible by David Pawson, and I highly recommend that as a resource. So when I'm filling out this section, what I'm trying to do is, in essence, place myself back in that day and time to find out what were the events that were going on back in around 64, 68 AD. What was culture like? Who was in rule? How did society live? What was the role of family? We're trying to learn as much as we can about the world that the particular book addresses. And what we know is that there was a time of suffering as a result of Nero's reign over the Roman Empire. And there was persecution that was ongoing, and people's possessions were being confiscated. Some people were being imprisoned. The Jews had a way to escape suffering that was not available to Gentile believers. The only way they could do that is to go to the synagogue and publicly deny their faith in Jesus. So you can imagine the strength and the power of the temptation to deny Christ as Messiah. That's then followed by literary features. Now, I like to use my ESV Study Bible, Bible.org, and Bible Gateway for information in filling this out. I also happen to have a literary study Bible that I will sometimes use. But in essence, when it comes to literary features, I'm looking for a few distinguishing factors. First, what is the genre of the book? Secondly, what is it, the main literary style? What distinguishing literary expressions are found? So we know that this has the genre of an epistle and sermon, employing many of the ancient customs of rhetorical argument. There is the common use of imagery, metaphor, and allusions to the Old Testament, as well as comparisons and contrasts, analogies, and parallel construction of sentences. The author repeats the main idea from a variety of angles and perspectives. And so all of that influences how we read this epistle and also how we understand it. The next step is to determine key words. And you can use, again, a study Bible for this. I also like to go to Precept Austin as a website for some information on this. But certainly some of the key words include better, perfect, eternal, blood covenant, faith, angel, priest, sin. Now, I've been asked by some people, what happens if I find more keywords than what this space allows for? Great question. In that case, I just add in a sticky note or a second page of extra notes. Either one will work. And then lastly, what are additional notes might I add? And this is really open to however I want to approach it. Were there any others significant findings that I identified during my time of study? And here we see, through looking at different commentaries as well as study Bibles, that there's a negative contrast established in the first 10 chapters, drawing a contrast between the Old and the New Testaments, Judaism and Christianity. And then the letter flips over to the positive side in chapters 11 through 13, closing out the book. Christ is the eternal high priest, the divine human prophet, priest, and king. His deity and his humanity are presented with equal force, and over 20 titles are used to describe his attributes and accomplishments. One of the other things that I love about the Bible binder is I can add to this. With add-in pages that are available, I can go in and take notes from a Bible study that I perhaps have taken, or a podcast I have listened to, and add in more information about the book of Hebrews. So this is a document that grows and evolves over time. The more I learn about the Word, the more I learn about God. And that's the beauty of the Bible binder. Take care. God bless.